The first 10 episodes, as I was saying, was Manitoba based because that's where we're headquartered. But I mean, we have both of the locations out here in Saskatchewan. I'm like, well, we should probably focus on some of the Saskatchewan creators and initially it was like photographers and videographers, but the last 5 years has made it really interesting for anybody that's online. And if you told anybody 10, 15 years ago that you could make a living creating content, right, being an influencer, being a food blogger that way, right? It's kind of it's the same ideas, but on a different medium, right? And it's for a newer generation, right? So. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on another episode of It Was F8, brought to you by Dawn's Photo. I'm your host, Jess Loso, and today I am joined by Ammara.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm not bad. Thank you again for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the kind of content you create.
I'm Ammara. I'm currently just a student at the University of Saskatchewan, so I'm always between the two cities. So Regina is where my family's from, and this is where I live during the summers. And then for school, I'm in Saskatoon. So it works out perfectly for, if I have to do a photo shoot in Saskatoon or Regina, I'm always traveling in between, so it always works out. And I am a photographer and I do mostly lifestyle and weddings right now. And I'm starting to do a little bit of brand photography that I'm super excited about. And it's actually for a friend, so that makes, I think, the experience even better. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, well, you get to kind of help somebody else flourish in their business kind of thing and be a part of that journey for them.
Exactly.
Well, I've taken a look at your work, and it just has this very dreamy, ethereal look, kind of like a film nostalgia kind of thing. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I really, because when I've never actually asked someone like, hey, what does my work reflect to you, or what does it look like? So every single time I hear someone say the exact same things that I want it to convey or portray,
well, it means that you're doing something right, like you're on the right path. Yeah, and that's important. It validation's what humans want, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I'm glad that I got the description right?
Thank you.
Without any hints. But what drew you and inspired you to get started into photography and the kind of photography you do?
I think there's two steps to it, because my dad is huge on photography, because ever since we were little, he'd be taking photos of us. And even before he had a family, he'd be taking photos of his friends, his family, himself. So he always had a camera or something of the sort laying around. So I always had access to that stuff, which made it really easy for me to, practice. And so ever since I was a kid, just snapping away using his cameras. And it was never professionally. I started a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And it actually, my friends were like, just do it. Don't actually think about it too much, because then that halts the progress, I think. So I worked with the chief at the University of Saskatchewan as their photojournalist. And then I had access to a really, really nice camera. It was a Nikon D750, and I had two really nice lenses to work with. And I did lots of sports too. I don't do sports anymore, but just learning about how to capture movement and because sports is very different than what I do right now. Yeah,
it's getting that exact moment, right? And you have to be bang, 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 right? To be able to get that one shot, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you can apply that to wedding photography too. So I guess
it's that photojournalistic portion to it, right?
Yeah.
To be able to capture a candid moment as it's happening and to do your part as the photographer to get the exact moment and make sure that it's you're conveying it in a way that is true to what was actually happening.
Exactly, because it's not going to happen again. You're at a wedding, everything's going to happen once, and it's not going to happen again. So it's very, you're under a lot of pressure when you're working weddings. But just going back to the first point about working with the chief and everything, that gave me a lot of practice, because I have to go to different events and take photos of different kinds of events, different kinds of people. So that helped me a lot, and having access to really nice technology also helped me. So that's what I on the side, I just used to practice at home, taking photos of tiny and animate objects or just anything really, and then just practicing with that. And then eventually I just bought my own stuff. And it's because I'm still a little new to the professional photography side. I'm still unsure of, what kind of equipment I need, which one what things I need to prioritize, this and that. So I'm still, I'll buy used items first, try them out. It doesn't work for me, easily just sell it, move on to the next thing.
And I think that's a common misconception among people who are starting out. And so it sounds like you have a good grasp at it, but a lot of the times, and because I've been on the selling side and I've been, that photographer myself, and initially was that, you think I need brand new stuff. I'm going to read through, I literally read through my manual for 2 hours, and that's just the tech specs. That's not the foundational skills. And I went outside and I was just like, I'm going to take a pic, I'm going to be a photojournalist or something like that. And I took the photo and I looked at the back and I'm like, this looks like poop. And I'm like, okay, back to the drawing board, right? But it's a lot of trial and error. It's, live within, do what makes sense for your budget. But at the end of the day, it's really building up a really strong foundation of the technical skills first, right? More so than it is the actual equipment, right? Because there are a lot of different photographers out there that, if you need a more medium format camera for what you do, that makes sense. But again, with content creation being so broad these days, I mean, sometimes people are just mobile photographers, and that's more than enough than what they do because they know how to edit their photos, right? So there are a lot of different things that people can do in different kinds of equipment that you can use to be able to accomplish that. But what you really need from the base and what you need to work on is your foundation, the technical skills, how to compose a photo properly.
Exactly. And you can, a lot of the times at least when I was starting out the professional side of it, I was like, I've never taken photos of a couple before, it's different than sports. So I was searching up, because I was really into that dreamy, nostalgic film type look, and I was really into motion blur as well. I still am. But when I went on YouTube, I was like, how to take blurry photos. It doesn't show you how to take those photos, because it's, you go into manual and you set what you think is right for the photos that you're taking, right? Because a lot of the times on YouTube, you search up a tutorial on how to take couple photos, and it's pretty standard stuff, because that's a lot of the stuff that's popular is what you're going to see, right? So when you have a specific need, you just need to practice, tinker around with the camera, and figure out what works for you, because that's what worked for me.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, motion blur, it's yes, you can do it, but it also depends on what your lighting conditions are, right? So motion blur in the daylight is going to be different from motion blur at nighttime, right? So, or indoor lighting, or whatever the conditions might be. So it's a lot of trial and error, but it shows in your work that you've definitely built up on that. And it's, again, very, very lovely. I like looking at it. I'm like, I can't, I don't shoot like that. I'm very, I'm the opposite, where it's just crisp. These are vivid colors. And a part of me wishes that I could shoot like that. But I'm like, no, I know what my style is. It's fine. I'm not going to reinvest in myself.
That's also another thing where finding your style. So I'm still struggling with. That's one thing that I still struggle with.
I think everybody struggles with it for the first little, for years, because it's so, and again, social media makes it interesting because it's so easy to look at other people's work, and then you get caught in the comparisons thing where you shouldn't. And it's okay to draw inspiration and be like, okay, well, maybe this is how I want to shoot. But after a while, it was just you really have to ask, do I like shooting the way that I shoot? Do other people enjoy the work that I'm doing? But more so, do I enjoy uploading it, right? So as much as go off and explore, but be true to what you like doing, kind of thing, and you'll find your way. And it's not about likes. It's not about that, right? All of that eventually comes to you. You just have to be patient.
I agree.
But you've only been doing this for
a year and a half. A year,
No, but it looks lovely. And so you're getting work between Saskatoon and Regina. Before you decided to pick up a camera.
Just a student. In terms of career or work or anything like that, I'm not a fan of working. So I always I like to do projects or smaller jobs. So for example, I'll do internships over the summer, or when I was in high school, I used to work summer camps. That way, I'm still making some money, but during the school year, I don't have to worry about any of that. So in terms of that, I wasn't really doing anything else, but I'm just a student. I'm doing computer science and psychology at the U of S. So hopefully this is going to be my last year. So
congratulations.
Thank you. And then, that's just what I do apart from photography. And then
But yeah, no, that kind of just makes sense with like your scheduling and like how your workflow.
Exactly. And it works out perfectly because during the winter months, I'm not really doing many weddings or couples because it's snowing outside. But during the summer months when I'm free, there's lots of...
That's what it is. It's like it slows down, but then that slowdown is made up for, once it starts getting nice spring, summer, it keeps you really, really busy.
Yeah. And during the slower months, I just work on back-end stuff. So this past winter, I was in Pakistan. So I was just, taking photos of myself and family there, but also I was working on my website. So I created my entire website during those winter months. And then this winter, I'm going to be doing more, or I'm starting to lean into more brand photography and things like that, which you can easily do indoors.
Yeah.
So I think you can still utilize those months just in a
different way. Yeah. It's being able, it's like it's a game of logistics where it's like, okay, well, I am able to do this, but I just kind of have to rework it so that way it makes sense for those months or for these projects.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see some more branding. Some lifestyle branding. Yeah. What have been some of the biggest challenges you've encountered thus far?
In terms of like horror clients or anything, I haven't thankfully had too many bad stories there. But I think in terms of my brand, because I don't show my face on the internet, and every single photographer that I know has shared their face. And it makes sense because, when you're booking a service or you're booking a shoot or whatever you're booking, right? You want to know who's behind the lens or who's offering you the service. So I understand 100% where this whole idea, connection comes from or what the reason behind the connection is. But, I also have boundaries for myself. And one of them, I don't think it's worth it for me to share a huge part of myself on the internet. So it makes it hard to balance that because I want to connect with people and I want them to feel comfortable and, know me before they book something with me because it takes a lot of trust.
Yeah.
But I think so far I'm doing okay. It hasn't brought any issues up. No one's like, oh, I don't know what you look like, so I'm not going to book with you or show me your face. No one's ever said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just... I don't know, that's something that I still am struggling with. And also the thing that I mentioned to you earlier about style. Because you see so much on Instagram especially, and you're just like, okay, well, I should be doing this. And then you see something else, I should be doing this instead. It's just finding a style that works for you. Because I started out pretty neutral colors, moody lighting, things like that. But I also do lots of brown weddings, and brown weddings are the complete opposite of that. It's lots of color. So for the past few months, it's been a good challenge because I really am liking the colors that I'm working with. So this has been a more positive challenge, but the one that I'm still struggling with is my brand and how to connect with people without giving my entire self,
Well, yeah, I think in any aspect of life, having boundaries, knowing what they are and being firm on them can be a challenge for people, right? But it sounds like, you know what, I think it would be better to know what they are than to not adhere to them.
Yeah.
Right? And so I really commend you for that because, again, the social norm is like, hey, here's my face. This is who you're working with. But just because it's not that doesn't mean it's not a worthwhile chance, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. And the emphasis for you is to create a genuine connection with them and have them come and, have a consultation with you in person.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that also ties into work-life balance because I know I'm really bad with time management, and I think sometimes when I sit to cull photos, it takes hours, and they'll edit, which will take even more time than culling the photos. So it can be very time consuming, and this is one way that I'm able to separate myself from my work because I would be taking photos even if I wasn't, a photographer.
Yeah.
So this is just a matter of, when do I, what do I get to keep for myself and what do I show to other people?
When does Ammara the photographer start and where does Ammara, the person, begin, right? Like they're two separate things, right?
Yeah.
And when you take photos for, again, clients versus when you're taking photos for yourself, those are two separate things. And sometimes it's hard to kind of decipher the both of them.
Like we just took a family trip to the Rockies recently, and I didn't bring my camera with me, and I took my film camera. One, because my camera is huge and it's, heavy, and I don't want to be dragging that around, but two, because it provides this, like, first of all, film is very simple to work with. It's just one shot and go. You don't have to worry about culling, editing, or storing things on your hard drive. It's just, and I always get prints. I always get prints because I have albums at home that I just slip the photos into. Because I know if I have something on the hard drive, I'm not taking it out until like someone asks me to or someone wants to see photos. So it's always, that's one way that I'm able to have that split between work and life.
Yeah, it's something that, again, that I also have to, like I had to work with my, kind of figuring it out as I developed more into like a seasoned photographer, was a lot of the times I go and take like landscapes. Now I've kind of pulled back because I work too much. But when I take landscapes, it's easy for me to just stay behind the camera and look through the camera. But I'm just like, no, just put it on auto. Just like get it to like the shutter to go off on its own and just take that moment for yourself, right?
Exactly.
To be present in the moment and not just be there to capture the moment, right? You need some separation between both.
And it can be hard to do that.
Yeah, and film is a beautiful thing because, like you said, it's a very different process from digital, because with film, you kind of have to think a different way because you're limited to how many exposures on your film, right? Whether it be 36, 27, 24, whatever it might be. And so you really I feel like you have to be more mindful about what you want to put on this frame. And so when you capture it, you're like, okay. And then it's the surprise part. You don't know what you get until you go and get it developed.
That's my favorite part. Like I used to develop them at London's Drugs, but the quality is not as good as, for example, Dawn's. Now I get them at Dawn's.
Yeah.
And every single time I get them, the excitement of just like opening it up and going through all the photos. It's just sometimes like the 4-month trip that I took to Pakistan, I couldn't develop my photos there. I tried to look for someone, but it wasn't like no one practices it there as much anymore.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any shops that did that unless you did it on your own, but I didn't find anyone. So I just had 4 months worth of film.
Yeah.
So I just one and done, got it. And then it was just so nice, like sitting with my family, going through all the photos again. It's like reliving the entire trip, and it's just so nice.
There's a difference, and again, they're both different experiences, to each their own, but it's such a different experience looking at an image that is backlit compared to holding a memory in your hand, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and sharing it with your family. That sounds nice.
Best part.
What kind of equipment, planning, and prep do you utilize to create your content?
In terms of just photography, I have my Nikon D610, and I'm thinking of upgrading to the Z5 or the Z6 II, depending on what I'm thinking during the winter. But yeah, that's the camera that I'm working with. And then the lenses that I forget the exact lengths, but I have one wide angle and then I have my 50 millimeter.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that I work with, and they get the job done. So I haven't really went out and looked for anything new. And then I always take my flash, especially if it's an indoor event, because I don't know how many events I did without flash, and I was like, why are my photos so noisy? I hate this. And usually I add grain to my photos, but with those photos, I never added it because I was like, what is going on? And then I learned the magic of a flash, and now I just take it with me to any indoor event that we have and any night shoots. Yeah. Because I love I don't know what that style is, but it's like this magazine, modern, like the direct flash where everything else is
it's kind of like a cutout, right?
Yeah, it's so nice. So I love my flash, and then just taking the photos, call one day, and then I edit, and then I let that sit for a few days, and then I go back and edit them again because I know that I'm gonna find some mistakes or need to correct something else, and then I deliver my gallery. So that's my entire process. Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest accomplishment?
Okay, so I had one goal for the summer, and that was to do 4 weddings, one for each month. And I did that. Well, I don't have a wedding for August, but I have one for September, so it's still 4 weddings for 4 months. That was what I wanted to get done, and I got it done. So that was pretty nice, because sometimes I feel like I place too many like expectations on myself or make lofty goals that I won't be able to achieve in a certain amount of time. But for this year, I was like, okay, you know, I'm going to be manageable and I'm going to make sure that I can actually do what I am saying that I'm going to do. So I was very, very happy because I just booked my 4th wedding just yesterday. So I was like, yay, 4th wedding done. So I'm like, I feel pretty accomplished for the summer.
Yeah, well, that's exciting, right? Yeah. And hey, if an extra one or whatever trickles in and you have the time for it, even better. But you've made that accomplishment. And I think it's really important to set goals that are attainable. Is such a subjective word, but like, yeah, you really have to think like, is this going to be manageable for me in terms of time, effort, and my resources, right? Like, and you know, you don't have to go big or go home kind of thing. Right? I think that's, again, it's this comparison game that people kind of get caught up in if you're, you know, getting sucked into the social media world, where you shouldn't be really drawing comparisons. It's more so like, what's maintained, what can I do for myself? What are my goals that make sense, you know, me versus last year or something like that, right? Exactly. And that's kind of the frame of mind I think people need to remember to kind of stay in.
Yeah, and thankfully I haven't been very, like I haven't made many comparisons when it comes to other photographers and their workloads, just because I know lots of other photographers are full-time and they have they've been working in the game for like 5-10 years. And I know myself, if I overwork myself, I'm going to start disliking whatever that thing is. And I don't want to start hating photography. So I have like a limit for myself and I won't go above that. And I was able to do that. So I'm happy with myself.
Hey, yeah, again, exciting. So you're taking a break for August and you have something to look forward to in September, right? Keep a fresh mind.
Exactly.
What's the wildest thing you've had happen on a shoot?
I guess the craziest shoot that I've done with one of my friends, she's in Saskatoon and she does lots of film photography just as a hobby. And she really, really, really wanted to do a water shoot. And I really wanted to do a water shoot too. So we're like, hey, let's just do it. And there's this place right outside of Saskatoon. I think it's 20 minutes out. It has very shallow water. And there's like this nice fine sand around the water. So it's a nice beach vibe going on over there. So we went to take photos, but it was like mid-September and it was so cold. And I just thought, okay, you know, we're going to dip our feet in the water. We'll just take photos of our dresses in the water or whatnot. And she wanted to fully submerge herself in the water. And she was down for that. I wasn't. So I took photos of her, like her entire head was in the water. And it was extremely cold that day. And once we got out of the water, it was even colder. And we had to like sit in the car for like 30 minutes just warming up our toes and fingers afterwards.
Did you bring extra clothes?
I think we did.
Yeah.
We had to have brought extra, because I know because my brother drove me there and it was the place, it's kind of, there's like this cliff and then you walk down towards the beach area and then I called my brother to come pick me up and I thought he would wait in the car, but he actually walked all the way out to the cliff and he just saw us and he was really confused. He's like, what are you guys doing? It's so cold. But he brought towels for us. I remember he brought towels for us.
Okay.
So we were kind of warm with that. And then we actually, like, it was still cold all the way up until the car, but no frostbite. It was still really cold, but no frostbite.
Yeah.
So we learned a lesson that day is to never do it mid-September, especially because for photos, sometimes you have to stay in a pose for a while. You can't move. So it was fun.
Yeah. It was a learning lesson.
It was a learning lesson, yeah. So now we know if we want a water shoot, do it earlier in the summer.
Well, worthwhile though. Did the pictures turn out nicely?
Yeah, the pictures are really nice.
There you go.
No one's gonna know the struggles behind it, but the pictures were nice.
Except both of you and probably your brother, right? You're like, yeah, they were freezing.
That's okay.
Like we spent 30 minutes to warm up. What's one thing you'd love to get a chance to do?
The next goal that I have for myself is travel. Travel, I do that anyway, but travel for photography. Because I know lots of people do weddings, and I know BC, there's lots of photographers that go there from Regina and Saskatoon, and I always go back and forth between Regina and Saskatoon, but that doesn't count to me. I feel like I need to be in like BC or somewhere on the coast, anywhere else. I know I really want to go to the Maritimes. They have such beautiful places there. And maybe like Quebec. I feel like their streets are very nostalgic and they have the, I don't know what to call it, but the cobblestone and everything like that. It's really cute. So those are my next 3, I guess, or my top 3 places within Canada.
And last question, a piece of advice to anyone looking to get into photography as a career.
Other than don't give up, just keep doing what you're doing and practice consistently, I would say have contracts, even if you're just starting out photography, because I did months and months of photography with no contracts. And it came back to haunt me because I realized there's nothing like tying me to anything. Like my expectations of the client are in my head. They're not verbally or
On paper.
Yeah, they're not on paper, so I can't really say anything if something happens, right?
Yeah.
And one of my friends who isn't a photographer, they told me, it's important that you have contracts no matter how small the job is. So I got HoneyBook.
Yeah.
I thought I never needed HoneyBook, but I got it and I was like, I can't live without HoneyBook.
Yeah.
And they have lots of nice templates and everything. So
Yeah.
I use those now. And I also never had retainers, which I added after so many people would, okay, we need you for XYZ reason at XYZ day. And the day before, be like, oh, we went with another photographer, which is completely fine.
Yeah.
But I need to know.
Yeah.
Right?
Sooner rather than later. And it's, you could have booked something else.
Exactly.
You could have done something for personal reason ahead of time. It's your planning, it's your schedule, right? And I know sometimes people are like, well, why do you need this? It's you're buying somebody else's time, right?
Yeah. Security.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing, but the part of the business aspect of, when you want to become a photographer and you wanted to make your job out of it, it's finding the confidence to, again, it's boundaries, right? That is a boundary that you have to be firm with, and being confident enough to be like, hey, it doesn't have to be a scary thing. It's literally just, this is kind of it's just so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So those are, I think, the 2 technical things that I would suggest to a photographer, videographer, or anyone that works within the creative field, I think.
Yeah.
Is retainers, contracts, and obviously be consistent with your practice, because that's the only way that you get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's some really great advice. Well, we are going to be at this portion
Oh my God.
of...
I'm so why am I nervous?
Really? Well, I'm sure you know some of these terms. Okay, so we're going
I hope so.
we're going to do a couple each, but it's,
Okay.
it's like password, or what was the other word?
Kahoot.
Kahoot, yeah. So it's going to be photography related terms. And we'll give 3 guesses each.
Okay.
And photography related terms. And I can't use the word that I'm seeing. Okay. Type.
Raw.
Camera.
Mirrorless.
Perfect, you got it.
I don't know how I got that. Stability.
Gimbal.
Photography.
Image stabilizer.
Tall.
Tripod?
Yeah.
Yay! That's what I thought at first. I'm like, is it tripod?
That's why I said photographer, because I feel like gimbals are usually for videographers, right?
Oh, okay, I see where you're going there. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's do capture.
Shutter.
Size.
Full frame.
Surface.
Sensor.
That's exactly what it is. You got it. That one's a little harder. I'm like, it takes the photo. It's inside there. Shutter. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Last one.
Oh, we were Oh, I can't use sentences, but high ISO.
Noisy.
Basically.
Noise. Yeah. Do you like noise, or do you like grain?
I like grain.
Yeah.
I don't like noise. I feel like it's a subtle difference, but it's very noticeable.
It really
Very
is.
noticeable.
Oh yeah, no, like I love high ISO film, but noisy digital images are very, very different, because you get the discoloration and stuff like that. But newer cameras do a better job of handling noise.
Yeah. So I'm excited for the upgrade.
I'm excited for you. Let me know when
Is it your
that
turn?
happens. No, we're done.
Oh,
Do you want to do another? Let's do another one.
Why is this so much? Okay. F8.
Aperture?
Yeah.
Yay! Perfect. This happens to be the name of the show.
It was fate.
Yes. So I
So
know some
clever.
people like don't get it or do get it, like whether you are familiar with the term or not. Most people like I had a coworker come and like, what? He came up to me 4 months into like recording. He's like, Jessica, I finally get it. It was fate. And I'm like, yeah, but you say fate because we're photographers,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, it's a pun.
No, it took me a while to get it too, and when I got it, I was like, oh my god, this is so great.
I'm like, it's clever, but only if I understand it.
Otherwise, I was like, it was F-A. What is that?
Yeah, you're like, what is it though? Like, it was kind of fate, but sometimes you can be shooting at F8, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, puns.
Oh, well. I like the name.
Yeah, thank you. It came up by accident in a manager meeting.
Oh,
We had
good accident.
yeah, he didn't even realize what he was saying, and I'm like, that's the name of our podcast. That needs to be the name of our podcast.
This is why you're in a marketing position. You catch
Well,
things like-
I catch things like that, and I definitely don't take credit for when we have, for somebody else's ideas or things that we should implement. But I'm kind of just like the logistics. I'm the floor runner kind of thing. How can we implement this? Yeah,
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You were lovely to talk to, and you let me know when you're in Winnipeg.
Of course, I will.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us at home. And until F8 brings us back together, we'll see you next time.